Algebra 1. Greetings, students. It's the day to review for the winter midterm. I'm going to tell you the lessons that are likely to be on the test and a description of those lessons. I'll remind you of formulas that you need to know. Remember, if you do not explicitly show me the formula, I deduct 1 point right away. I'm serious about those formulas, you guys. I really want to see them. But I'll tell you what I consider to be a necessary formula so that you don't have to write down everything you ever learned so that I don't take away your points. All right, I started the most recent lesson and worked backwards. 96, difference of two squares theorem. Fancy name, but yes. These are the problems that are preparing us for a step in a bigger operation that's coming up. So even though they're pretty straightforward and simple, they're important. 95 is the nonlinear functions that we drew the pictures of, right? The art project. You will need to know the general shape and the, trying to think of what to call it, the simple form of the equation. And I'll just write those down for you right now. For the quadratic function, I don't need you to know the fancy form with all the a's and b's. It would just be f of x equals x squared. For the cubic function, it would be x cubed. For the square root function, it would be the square root. And for the absolute value, it would just be like that. And then you need to know the pictures. What the heck, I'll just draw the pictures too. This one's the parabola. This one's the cubic zigzag. This is the zoop. This one, you know you've got a dot there because it always starts at 0. And then this one is the flying geese formation. Okay, so you need to know that. 94. Oh, yes. Uniform motion. Titanic style. The basic equation here is D1 plus D2 equals K, where K is a constant that means the total trip. And then you need to be able to take this and change it into this. John uses N sometimes in the book. I use a K. It makes no difference. And then you also need to be able to draw the picture. And for the Titanic, it's either bump in the night or goodbye, Jack. You're drowning, and I'm not. Right? So those are the two pictures for this style. And I want you to show me the appropriate picture and then link it right by saying D1 and D2. Or D1 and D2, right, as the case may be, K for the total. And then, so then you draw the picture and you link it to this, and then you link it to this, and then you link it to that. I want to see all of that. 93. These are called products of rational expressions. These are the big crazy things where you factor and it all cancels. Yes, I love those. 92. This is the other kind of uniform motion. This is the Lord of the Rings style. The third kind also has a movie associated with it, so I'm excited about that. The third kind, this kind rather, is either Sam and Frodo go to the mountain or Sam and Frodo go to the mountain and come back. In these, the first distance equals the second distance, and so our base equation looks a little different. Again, I want to see all of this in your problems so that it's beautiful and perfect, okay? 91 is about spheres. I'm not going to test you on spheres. I don't like spheres. They just bore me. Graphing inequalities, yes. Okay, remember that if the domain equals the integers, then our graph is going to have dots on it. Remember that if domain equals the reals, then our graph is going to have a circle and an arrow. Remember that the circle, an open circle, is what we use when we want to graph a less than or a greater than. And then if we want to reflect equal to, then we use a closed dot, okay, meaning it's filled in. Okay, this is like a review built into the list, right? I'm loving it. Okay, those are the finer points of those, and that's what everybody forgets. Okay, 90 is where we're at. Bump to my light. I broke, that's my new light with a metal shield. I broke my ring light a week or so ago, and I keep meaning to ask you guys if this light is okay. It's more of like a desk lamp study light. 90, two statements of equality. This is where we have a system of equations, but we're not doing coin problems. Yes, these are good, they're important. This, 89, are our value statement problems. They're both systems. In both cases, we have a system of equations. These just fit really closely to that coin format where we have something and then we have the value, like the first class and the coach tickets, or the high price dresses and the low price dresses. These are a little more random. I could even see having one of each of those on the test. Depends if my hand gets tired of writing. Let's solve some quadratic equations from 88. Solving quadratic equations. One thing I'm going to point out to you guys is that I know there's a world of difference between problems that have words in them, like these two, and problems that have numbers, that are just straight numbers. It's so much easier to work problems that are just straight numbers because your brain doesn't have to like translate. Word problems are hard because we have to translate from words into numbers. So I'm going to find a balance in that so that your brain is not just completely abused by word problems, but both are important. And I know that most students, if they had their way, they would just do all number problems because they're easy. 87. One part of 87 is solving the systems of equations like we do with the distance problems when there's rates and times. I'm not worried about that. We don't have to practice that. We have other problems. The part of 87 I might test you on is the test for functions. And that is the vertical test. And then let's go back another lesson or two. I think there will be more tests for functions. 86 is dividing polynomials. I'm not saying no to that, but I am going to say that we did a review problem on this, so I'm less likely to test it again. 85 is stem and leaf plots and histograms. No. I don't care about those. 84, this is the part I wanted to get to. 84 was testing for functions. And this time we use either the circle diagram test or the ordered pairs. Ordered pairs test, okay? This was where we look at these wacky circles. That's what I call the circle diagrams. And then these are the ordered pairs where we have to look through. So that's 3 different ways of testing for functions, right? There's 1, 2, 3 ways. I could see a problem where I gave you maybe 1 of each. I don't know, we'll see. But those are 3 different tests you can apply to see if a set of numbers is behaving as a function or not. And that's good stuff. 84, the other part of 84 that I really like is multiplying radicals. Remember that the pigs live in the houses and the wolves live out of the houses. And we multiply pig to pig and wolf to wolf. And we simplify. Okay? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's more than enough to study. Okay, so there you have a nice long list of topics to study along with notes for helping you study, formulas, etc. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to remember that whenever you're studying for any kind of a test, not just a math test, you need to prepare for the test by doing the exact same thing in practice that you're going to do on the test. So if it's a multiple choice test, you need to practice choosing multiple choice options. If it's an essay test, you need to practice writing essays. If it's a math test using problems from the homework, then you need to practice doing problems out of the book. So that's my number 1 tip, is you need to actually do problems. And I have had students, there are often boys who have a natural gift for math, who study, quote unquote, by flipping through the lessons that I put on the list and just looking at them and saying, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. Those are easy. Yeah, I can do all of this. They don't actually do the problems. They just flip through and look at the problems and bolster their confidence, which, I mean, I'm great. I'm glad they're confident, but I want you to actually do problems. And as I've said before, the easiest way to do this is to work the example problems. For the lessons on our list, which we just made. Now I'm going to add a couple keywords. I want you to work all the example problems for all the lessons on our list, okay? Not just a few here and there, all of them. It won't take you that long, and I'm doing that specifically because I want it to be easy for you. So if you're studying lesson 84 and you do example 10, ooh, there's a lot of examples, but that's okay, they're really easy. You look at these, you make your answer, and then look, there's the answer right there. Cover up the answer while you're trying, because otherwise you're just reading John's answer and going, oh yeah, that makes sense. Cover it up, for pity's sake. But then you don't even have to flip back to the solutions manual. Your answer is right there. And this, again, is where John provides the most detailed explanations. So if you're not getting it, you have the best chance of figuring it out based on these examples. If you finish all of those and you're still getting things wrong, you need to message me right away. You can email me, but I don't recommend it. For this level of urgency, you need to reach out to me via text or via messenger. I'm on WhatsApp if you're looking for me there, but we need messaging. We don't need an email. I don't check my email as diligently. My other messaging apps, I get pinged right away. Oh, ping. Oh my God, that is such a boomer thing to say. I apologize. Boomer or Xers. But anyway, I'm kind of on the cusp in between boomers and Xers. I kind of identify with both, but I'm more of a boomer. But you need to message me immediately and don't use email, please. It's more urgent than that. If you work all those example problems and you go, okay, I'm feeling good, but I want to study a little bit more, then work practice problems. You've already done some of the practice problems. Maybe you've done all of them, but I will tell you this. I often draw test problems from the practice problems. I'll often choose the quote unquote even numbered problems like B or D. So you might get lucky and study a problem and then have me show the exact same problem on the test. That has happened before. And good for you, right? If you're that on your game, then you deserve to have an easy problem. Okay, now this is one where I want you to plan your schedule. What happens if a student works for hours on Monday, crams for 3 or 4 hours, just works problems and gets it all nailed, then sits for 48 hours before they pick up their test on Wednesday afternoon and work it? That's not good, you guys. 24 or 48 hours is more than enough time to get your brain rusty. I want you to have studied within 24 hours of when you take the test, but you get to choose to take the test. So that means you have to figure this out for yourself. Remember that the test taking window is between noon on Wednesday to noon on Thursday. You have to figure out when you plan to take the test and then back up 24 hours and say, okay, I need to make sure I study within that 24 hours. Okay, I need to at least put the finishing touches on my study. I have to look at stuff one more time at that point, okay? Because I don't want to be more than 1 day stale when I sit down to take the test. All right, so make sure you time your study properly. The other thing that I want to say, these are all my points, and here I'm coming to my last one. Some students are very calm and relaxed about taking tests. They go into almost like an overdrive mode, and they get really calm and they think clearly and feel great when they're taking tests. Okay, that's cool. Other students do not. Other students get a little anxious and a little worried, and they freak out a little bit, and they do not do their best work because they're feeling anxious. That is another reason why I give you so much control over when you take it, because I want you to think about this and I want you to find your zone. Think about when you want to take the test. Your mom might have great advice for you or a sibling that's taking tests too, but I really want you to think about this for yourself and decide, when do I feel like I'm going to be at my best, okay? You know your brain better than anyone else, and that includes your mom. So please think about how your brain works and when is going to be the best time for you. If you are a person who does get a little, amped up and anxious about tests, I want you to make a plan for that. I want you to make sure that you get plenty of sleep, eat something good within a reasonable time frame of taking the test, drink your water, maybe go for a walk outside before you sit down to take the test. Being out in the fresh air in nature is so good for your brain, you guys. Listen to some music that you like. Do something to get yourself in the right zone so that your emotions will be peak calm, if that makes sense. I want them to be more of a valley than a peak. But get yourself into the right place. If you are a person who struggles with this, you might want to Google it. Google how to control test anxiety and see if you get some ideas. So my last tip, and I'm going to write it up here, is make a plan to control test anxiety. And I know that sounds sort of dramatic. I don't mean to suggest that you have some sort of crippling fears, but I want to put these phrases in here so that if you do decide to Google it, you'll have great words to drop in. All right, that is everything I have to say to you. Well, besides all the things I'm going to say right now. That's all that I have to say about how to study and prepare for the test. I'll be dropping the test off to at your house around noon on Wednesday, and I'll be back actually later than this. I'll be back probably around 3, between 3 and 4 on Thursday. I will be texting you / your mom as I am dropping off and picking up or getting ready to, so that we have some communication. Show your formulas, show your work, stay calm, ask me questions. I would much rather deal with your questions before the test than during the test. So please do not feel weird about it. Just ask me. All right. Some students ask me stuff all the time, you guys. I don't want to name names because I don't want to embarrass them, but students among you ask me questions, multiple times a week. And some people never ask me questions. So it's not weird to ask me questions. Please feel free to do it. Okay, now I'm done. That's all. Goodbye.